Sunday night,
Just move the lever up and down. It's the first.
On your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the business, oh she the business. You can tap in, I will get the business. To empower you, so that you can do anything that you want to. Can hear me? Oh, child, like so listen. The conversation that's gonna keep you in there. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. On the air and he's just calling. With Coach La 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 Coach La 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 La.
What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La. How y'all feeling tonight? I'm excited because I'm always excited. Y'all know I'm always excited. So y'all are tuning in to the Urban Heat 98.1 FM right here in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. We are radio with a purpose. And tonight, ooh, you know, I got a show that I'm super excited about, right? Now, why is that? Y'all know we're about to do this urban escape on the Cape, which is one of the largest events that the radio station has done. Well, the last thing was Sail with Soul. But this one is super special because we have bought out the entire Seacrest Resort down in Falmouth, Massachusetts. Well, actually, that's the Cape. I keep remembering the Cape is sort of like part of Massachusetts, and we have the whole resort to ourselves, and we are doing a series of events. Twins and Friends, 9 Alarms, myself, bringing Poe Therapy down there, and we are going to have us a time. So tonight's guest is actually the headlining poet. I have been following him for a really long time and just admired his work ethic and just how he has uplifted and provided a space for spoken word artists, orators, anyone who is of the arts that is doing something positive and powerful in the community. He is all about that. So he is an internationally respected spoken word artist. He's an award-winning poet. He's an educator, a motivational speaker, and author, and the elder statesman in Roxbury, Massachusetts. In 2024, he was presented with a certificate of appreciation by the Lieutenant Governor of Rhode Island for his significant contributions to the Cultural Fest Poetic Sessions, and was recently honored as the pioneer and hip-hop legend in his hometown of Boston, Massachusetts. So can we give him some love for that? Because that's super dope. He has been recognized for his profound impact on the cultural landscape. His performances and motivational speeches have often been described as passionate, moving, captivating, and powerful. He possesses a unique ability to connect with his audience by leaving the stage and engaging them directly, earning him the nickname, the poet with the hyperactive attention deficit disorder. He does got a lot of energy. Y'all should have seen how he was bouncing around when he came in here. He has not only performed in United States, but he's also performed on Good Morning Barbados. He's been in Zurich, Switzerland. He's been in Kaplan Justice University. And he's just done so much. Not only that, he won the Best Spoken Word Album Award in the New England Urban Music Awards in 2008. He's been recognized twice as the Boston Community Warrior by the Institute of Pan-African Cultural Education and the Nation of Islam in 2003 and 2011. I mean, his resume is extensive. He's also self-published 2 books, Guns, Poems, and Roses in the Right. He has also mentored and worked with several youth in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Now, listen, the man has he's also been a part of the legendary poet Louis Reeves Rivera and Bruce George, the co-founder of HBO's Deaf Poetry. I didn't even know that. Michael has appeared in several documentaries and films, including the award-winning 2006 Red Bull Word Clash film. I mean, the man has worked with Askia Torre, Reggie Gibson, Tremaine Hawkins, and the former R&B sensation CeCe Peniston. And in 2019, he was named the Lizard Lounge Poetry Jam's most valuable poet and grand champion. 2023, he was inducted into the Lizard Lounge Poetry Jam Hall of Fame. He has also been on Chronicle, and he also has performed at the Cricket's Legend in Barbados. Currently, he co-hosts a monthly showcase for artists and poets in Attleboro at the National Black Dog Museum called Just Spit. And he is the creative director of Poems Boston, which is a dynamic social media platform dedicated to booking, promoting, and celebrating poets and the art of spoken word across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Threads. Michael Warrior Bonds is an unwavering dedication to his craft, and the community makes him an exceptional artist and adoring source of inspiration for many. So without further ado, I want to welcome my friend and my poet friend, Mr. Warrior Barnes. Let me get his microphone all together and bring him on camera. What up, what up, what up, what up?
Check 1, 2. What's up,
What's
Coach?
going on?
What's happening, Coach?
Listen, your bio made me have to take several deep breaths.
Yo,
okay?
listen.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't hear it read often, so it's like I be like, is that me?
Ooh, you've done a
Did
lot
I
of
do
work.
that?
You've done a lot of work, my friend.
Sound like the little kid on Willis. Did I do that?
Well, I am excited. I've always admired you. Little story. You're probably gonna get embarrassed when I tell this, right?
Okay.
But you know how sometimes when you fangirling, because I was fangirling, right? And I'm just like, you was on my chicken list.
You fangirling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had a chicken list of people that I was going to reach out to and ask to be a part of Poe Therapy. And you was one of those people. And I got in his inbox and I'm like, hey, I admire your work. I think you're great. I would love for you to perform at Poe Therapy. And he was like, okay, sis, like, who are you again?
Nah.
Yeah.
She be clowning y'all.
Listen,
She be clowning.
listen,
faking,
and then
faking.
but this was before Poe Therapy was very new back then, right? And I learned a lot in that moment. It was a humbling moment just around respecting the art and respecting poets, because I didn't have a budget. I was just, a gun-ho, excited little therapist wanting to put together a platform. And I've learned a lot in the last 2 years, and we've developed a really good rapport.
Yes, we did.
From that. And I respected it. I mean, nothing went sour or anything. I was like, I appreciate that. He was like, sis, poets deserve to be paid. You gave me a nice talking to about just approach, and offering something and just how to go about things, which was a good learning lesson that I needed to learn. Since then, I think I'm one of his favorites, and he'll do anything for me now.
You is.
But once he understood what I was trying to do, what I admire about this is that poets don't get the respect that they need to get. And I think it's something that, as I've learned about the industry and me coming at it from a different perspective, I was just writing because that was my source of like journaling and self-care. And there's a whole nother world of poets that do it full time. This is what they do. This is what they love. And similar to me being a therapist, you want to get paid for your expertise and how much you've contributed to the field.
Indeed.
And I want to be a part of that. I'm cheering for, championing, and going to be a part of that system to create that, because that is an ongoing thing, is artists being paid. The starving artists, we need that to stop, right? So I need all my listenership and anybody who's connected to understand that, you got a budget, you want to donate some money, you want to be an investor, we're looking for you, right? Because we need that to create these platforms and to make sure that people are paid and compensated for the art form, not and getting it, they get their flowers now, not when they die and everybody knows about it and their estate gets it, but pay the artist now. You pay them, y'all.
That's true. Artists don't have to starve, man.
So anyways, that was me get off my soapbox. So I'm so excited you're here, and I would love for you to tell the people more about you that's not in this bio. Because this is all your accolades and all of the things that you've done. But who is Michael Warrior Bond?
It's interesting you say that, because I got this thing where my public life is my public life, but I have a private life that I keep private on purpose. Some things about me, I just like to keep beneath the vest, so is to keep me safe and keep my family and keep my the people that are closest around me safe. Not that we're in danger or anything. I don't mean it in that respect, but like there's some things that I think all artists and anybody that has a career in the public tend to keep some things to themselves. These are my personal items. Y'all can share. We can share all the rest of this stuff, but some personal items. But I can tell you a couple of things about myself. I have a great sense of humor.
Yeah, he's very silly, y'all.
I got it. But it's funny. It's funny you say that, because a lot of people look at me. Oftentimes I have this intense stare, this intense look. I'm really serious about, what it is that I do when I'm doing it, even in my 9 to 5, as well as this poetry thing. So I have this intense, strong stance, whatever the case may be. And oftentimes, man, people think I'm unapproachable.
And that's what got me today.
Yeah.
I saw a different side of you.
Right.
The childlike side of you.
Right.
You don't always let people see you just smiling. You have a beautiful smile.
I was nervous.
And the silliness and the childlike side. I was ready to like do some hopscotch with you and stuff. And let's go race the way you came in here all giddy, right?
Yeah, but you was looking like runaway girl today. Stop playing. Like,
he got on me because I got on my top 10s. Y'all forget I'm 3 for the stripes. At the end of the day, I'm a B girl all day.
Absolutely.
A roundaway therapist. I did not get that name by accident. Back in the day, I was wearing Timbs and A-Dogs just like everybody else.
It is.
Champion sweatshirts, you know what I mean? 8-ball jackets, bomber coats. I mean, come on, I'm a 90s.
You're going way back.
But that was my style. 2 pairs of bamboo earrings, all that.
Okay.
5411s.
You got them on.
No, not today. Not today. Okay. But 5411s, all that. So but I think most times we don't see that. You have a serious exterior, and you're serious about your poetry, and most of your poems are very serious too. Very political, about changing the world and that we live in. They're not silly and fun, but you come from a very serious stance, I would say.
Oftentimes I do.
Oftentimes, yeah.
I do have some lighter poetry, but okay, so in the beginning of me writing poetry, it was important for me to take a social justice stance and speak about my personal life and my personal experience as a Black man in America, Black man in Boston growing up, and and my whole background, which was storied in and of itself. So I felt like I needed to express that and be passionate about it. And I shied away from, I don't want to do poetry or poets a disservice or disrespect. I love everybody's style of poetry, but at that time I was more into serious content.
Yes.
Things that shared a message, things that taught people, and so on and so forth.
So one of your first published books, and correct me if I'm wrong, was Guns, Poems, and Roses.
Right.
Was that was first?
That was the first.
And
one.
Just with that name in itself, it says a lot. So you want to talk to us a little bit about how do you get your inspiration for your poetry?
It comes from different places. And I appreciate that question, because it comes from different places. I don't know. It just pops up. My muse gets active when it wants to get active. And sometimes there's times when it's just lulled and I'm not doing anything. And all of a sudden this inspiration, this light turns on somewhere. And then I got this, and the poem's writing itself in my head, and I got to pull a car over, or I got to stop what I'm doing at work or whatever, and go and find a quiet place and just let it finish it out. And then there's these times when I wake up in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I gotta go find a pen and I write something. That's why
I'm telling you, that is the hour that I've written most of my. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I haven't had one of those moments in a while. And then all of a sudden they'll be hitting me like nonstop, where I wake up and I have poetry in my head.
Right. And then there's those times that I heard this term first from Reggie Gibson. Shout out, to the legend, Reggie Gibson. Reggie Gibson once said, I had to go into the woodshed. That's
what did he mean by that?
Going into the woodshed, I think, well, I'm expressing it the way he meant it when he said it, is that when a poet goes, secludes themselves and start writing, go into this writing phase, and they go behind themselves and whatever, and close themselves off and just start writing and composing and creating, that creative process.
Yeah.
That whole creative process. There are times when I just got to do that,
right?
Because I came from a different place, and in this poetry, a lot of us come to wherever we're going to be, from different directions. I came from a different place to get into poetry, and so for me, oftentimes, there are times when I just got to cut everything off, cut all the electronics off in the house, cut the lights off, or whatever the case may be. It's just me and a pen and a light and a small light, or whatever the case may be. And I use a typewriter, and not typewriter. See, there I go.
He just gave up his age, y'all.
I use
Who was using a type? Well, I had a word processor.
Learning.
I had a brother's word processor. It had one line.
Wow.
And when I type, I only can see one line at a time.
I found one a while ago. Wow. I don't have it anymore, but I found one a while ago, just rummaging through some thrift shop, and I got it and I typed it, but I couldn't find any more, tape for it. So it just
nostalgic.
But like I was saying, I still write on composition notebooks and paper and stuff like that. And I use the phone in the current mechanism, but my preferred method for creating is just writing with a pencil.
So you the old composition books. Now you just said something about you came into this poetry in a different way. What did you mean by that?
So the first time I'll say this, giving homage to my sister, my sister Angela. She's currently living in ATL with the other side of the family. I love her. When I was the age of I say about 12 or whatever, she came home and she read a poem to me. That always stuck with me, and I had no idea the impact this poem was having to me until years later. She read the poem "Crystal Stair" by Langston Hughes. To me, she had to remember it for a recital she had in school or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, I love it." But who knows that fast forward years later, that poet would impact my life. So I was, it's no secret now telling the motivational speeches that I was locked up. I did 10 years in the Massachusetts prison system consecutively. Prior to that, I was, juvenile detention centers and county jails and so on and so forth. But ultimately, I ended up getting 10 years straight in, maximum security prison, every hole in the state. The last 2 years of that sentence was spent in solitary confinement.
Wow.
23 hours a day, 1 hour out for a recreation.
Wow.
I had no one else to fight but myself. I had 3 options. I could, hang it up, succumb to my psychosis and go crazy, or I could build. So I told the latter. I chose the latter. And there used to be 3 carts that come by my door. 3 carts. There was the medical cart, there was the food cart, and there was the book cart. And to this day, a part of my trauma, part of my PTSD that won't go away is I still have memories of the sounds of each cart. I could tell which cart's coming by the sound of the squeaking of wheels. That's crazy. So when the book cart came out, I was like, and I would grab books off of there, and there was a book on there, Panther and the Lash by Langston Hughes. It was still brand new. I took it and I never gave it back, and I dog-eared it. And my very first poems were an attempt to mimic his style.
Wow.
That was my very first poems.
Right.
My very first poems I ever wrote. And it wasn't even, I knew nothing about spoken words, standing up, memorizing, or anything like that. I memorized poems simply because there were times when the CEOs wanted to disrupt your life. So they would, come in, shake your cell down or whatever the case may be, tear up all your stuff, disrupt everything. So I memorized my poems. It was my way of memorizing my poems so I could remember them and write them down again, because I had visions of writing this book years later. And the very first poem I still remember was called Persecuted.
You want to say it?
Absolutely.
Listen,
I ain't never
you
shy
guys
away.
are tuned into Conversation with Coach Law,
and
and we got Michael Warrior Barnes, and we are talking about poetry, but we're doing it from the perspective of the warrior's journey and his bet on self moments. And so, let's just spit, as you say.
Persecuted. Gray skies constant. Clouds their darkest hue. Sun shines for reality's sake. It's clearly visible by those of you. Weight seems heaviest, too much to bear. Often pessimistic, ever reaching yet not feeling. Held aloft by evil's hand, vision impaired so as not to view the wound, a blistering mass, painful, still healing. Why is the question often asked of those who inflict these terrorist blows, painful enough to bruise the mind and body, yet untouched be the soul. Let level and steady shivering hands, let will be not the wavering, though patience be tried 1,000 times for purpose of bending and breaking. Hold on to that which be most precious to your captors, though all other possessions slip your grasp. Your will to live be not for the taking, though persecuted. Find peace within and hold fast. Peace.
Listen, let me tell you something. You have such a deep, profound orator's voice, and your pen has always been profound, but now I understand it a little bit more.
Thank you.
Because of where it's coming from. And the whole idea of poet therapy was that I truly do believe poetry is a form of therapy. It's an outlet to release your emotions and your feelings. So I often ask people when they come on the show, what does therapy mean to them? Because, as you know, the whole reason why I put this show together was to debunk any myths about mental health, because people think you got to have a disorder for you to address mental health. And it's just about, how do you take care of your mind? What do you do when life is lifing, and how do you do life? So from your perspective, what does therapy mean to you?
It's interesting you say that. And I was going over, and forgive me, but I was going over this question and how I would answer it. And the best way I could say, for me, the best way I could describe therapy for me is a healing process. It's a healing process from, it's like the on the inside, I could cut my finger, I could break my arm, and so on and so forth. And there's a healing process for that and those things. All right. But what is the healing process for, mental anguish, PTSDs, when you suffer some sort of trauma, you go through some, life altering experience or whatever the case may be. Therapy is that healing process. And you being a therapist are, the doctor who not necessarily have the cure, but you have the means to assist the person in helping themselves, and help healing that process. So for me, I've I took it upon myself, coming from where I came from originally, to seek out therapy long before it was fashionable, long before it was the thing, as they say in the Black community, or healing Black men or Black women, or so on and so forth. Years ago, when I first come out, I felt like I had some anger issues. I had some introvert issues. I had some PTSDs from being in that place that I was. So, and at that time, they didn't have a person I could go to, or the readily available therapist that they have now. So the only thing I sought it out in court, and they said the only thing we have for therapy right now is a group for men who, who were violent and batterers or whatever the case may be. Not that I was that. He said, but you're welcome to attend if you want to. And I sat there, and I went through 12 weeks of group therapy with these men, and then I went through 6 weeks of individual therapy with the therapist, because he liked the fact that I, volunteered to come in and do that. And then, but now they have all these means for brothers and sisters like myself who return into the community to reacclimate themselves safely and comfortably.
Yeah. A lot of times we make things too complicated, and I love simplicity. When you think about therapy as healing, if you get a cut, you're going to put some treatment, you go through a treatment process so that you can heal the cut. But we don't think about how our minds get wounded. Right. And what do you do when your mind is wounded? Right. So when I think about any kind of mental health disorder, PTSD, and you have ruminating memories like you were just describing, it's just those are wounds. And so it's like, what do you do to be able to make peace with what you've gone through? And I feel like by using poetry and then spoken word, because remember you said at first you weren't memorizing, you weren't performing it. You got a name that you called yourself, right? There was a name that you infectiously started getting called the poet with hyperactive attention deficit disorder. Can you tell us how that came about? I got some thoughts but I first want to hear what you think. Well, and how I'm going to tie that into where I was going with that statement.
Okay. All right. So I'm super energetic when I get nervous and I'm playful and I did all that today, right? But a long time ago, it must have been a long time ago, I was driving back from Philly. I had driven back from Philly, let's just say, and I had performed at Temple University. I had performed at a couple of other spots. I was in Philly for like 3, 4, 5 days. I was performing all over the place, and I was coming back home. I was driving back home. I was super exhausted because I got off the show and I needed to come back home. And I got a call from Sister Bawanda. You know Bawanda?
Yes.
She runs PACE. She was teaching at a school in Mattapan. I can't remember the school or whatever the case may be, but they
was that Match? Not Match.
They were doing the Black History. They were doing a Black History celebration, and the artist that they had booked had wasn't coming for some reason. It was sick or something happened. So she called me while I was just getting off of the highway coming into Boston. She said, "Well, I need you to come. Like, can you come, please? Because are you available right now?" I said, "I just got back. Please, I don't have nobody. I really don't have nobody." And you can actually see this performance. This performance is actually on my YouTube page. You can see it. But anyways, I was really young. I had the suit jacket on. I looked like a kid. But anyways, I was exhausted. So in the whole auditorium of the school was packed with kids and they had nobody. And I came in and she introduced me and I got on stage. I said, I got a little bit of energy left. I'm gonna give it to you. And I got up there and I performed. The short of it is this. After I performed, I jumped off the stage in the audience, the whole nine. And one of the people up says, like, "Yo, what you got? You got ADHD? You got ADHD?" And then it kind of stuck. And people were saying that for a while. Like, because like at that time, I didn't like microphones. I would just jump off the mic. But now everybody does it.
Yeah. You know, I feel like most trauma, what they've said is people stay busy. They got to keep moving. Right. And so if you couple that with utilizing poetry as a way to express emotions and feelings, and then also the fact that you're dealing with any level of trauma, you can't stand still. You can't do a poem and be still. Because all of it is really triggering all of your senses. Right. It's a way of self-regulation. So I was like, that's interesting.
It's passion. It's passion. It's just passion. And I believe, like, so I don't recite poetry. I really don't recite poetry. You know, I give it to you raw in the way I feel it. It's important for me to deliver a poem to you. I want you to feel the poem the way I felt when I conceived it. So when I spit, I breathe this. This is me. This is me. I'm gonna give it to you. And I guess hopefully it resonates.
Yeah. So you had the opportunity to go to Barbados.
Oh yeah.
And I got a chance. There's a poem. I don't know the correct name, but I know that it references you meeting God.
It's my mama's poem. That was my mama's poem. I took care of my mama.
Yeah, one of my favorite. Well, what is the name of that piece?
I Met God.
I Met God is the actual name of the piece.
I Met God.
You want to do that one too?
Oh, you want that one?
That's one of my favorites.
That's my mom. That's my mom. I took care of my mom, for 4 years until she, became, my guardian angel. And that was my tribute to her. I have a couple of poems that I attribute to my mom because my mom was, the great. She is a representation of God to me.
Yes.
Literally.
Well, shout out to Mina Shea Style Journey, guys.
Peace.
Hello, Miss Angelina Songbird. She gave me that coach. La la la. What's going on, girl? Hope your voice is feeling better. So you are tuned into Conversations with Coach La right here on the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. And we got my friend, Mr. Michael Warrior Barnes. He's going to do I Met God.
I met God. In the beginning of my time when my morning shined, after the evening of a womb, I met God. Vanilla bean complexion, eyes the shade of melanin, arms a home sweet homecoming when they blanketed me. Hands were my very first impression of gentle. You see, these were the tools of a master multitasker, and they beheld me as if I were a savior. And I loved God. Then, now, and before we met. Before my first taste of oxygen, before umbilical cord disassembly, before the evening preceding the morning of my arrival was a labor of love, I met her, and she loved me. I felt evidence of this daily. From my first breath up and into her last exhale, I never felt a void for affection, even now, as she peacefully rests, my mother. Ursel, Ellen, Bonds, she is God to me. Hallelujah. Allahu Akbar. Baruch Atah Adonai. I am her apostle. She was my gospel, holy scripture, chapter and verse. I am her revelation. While in trimester, she authored my Genesis. In all the days of my life, she preached to me sermons on the mount of her wisdom. Up and into her Exodus, she sang me her Psalms, prophesied my coming of age, the litigations, and all those tribulations. And she spoke to me of my inevitable successes as if she walked this way before. She told me to remain steadfast, informed, independent, and strong. She said, don't nothing grow without water, baby. So don't you ever be afraid to weather these storms. And I believed her then. I believe her now. I needed her then. I need her right now. Ooh, y'all should have seen her as I did. She had vanilla bean complexion. Her eyes were the shade of melanin. Her arms were home sweet homecoming when they blanketed me. Her hands were my very first impression of gentle. You see, hers, she was a master multitasker, and she beheld me as if I was her savior. Peace.
I met
Peace.
God.
That's my
one
mom.
of my favorite pieces that you've done.
Thank you.
I hope you do that at Urban Escape on the Cape. And I hope we get some new shit too.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I've been writing this new stuff, and like for me delivering new stuff, it takes time for me to like. There are a lot of poets, and shout out to them, and I commend them for being able to like write something yesterday and be able to do it tomorrow on top. Like, real, it takes time for me to cultivate it and get it into that passionate warrior style that I do. So I sit on poems for a minute before I deliver it, you know, and I'll give you one instead of five. So I got a couple of them ones, but
yeah,
I got you.
So you have an organization you created, Poems Boston, yes. Right? And you've mentored countless individuals to be able to publish their work and just, you know, get in front of audiences, which is a lot of the things that we've collaborated on. Shout out to us coming together and providing platforms, because I've seen people flourish from you connecting them and getting them out there. What are some of your goals with that process? Like, what do you see next for Poems Boston?
Well, you know, as you said, Poems Boston, and thank you for that. Poems Boston is indeed an outlet. It is a performance. It is a booking platform and producing for mainly spoken word artists and poets. But you know, the acronym for Poems, ironically, is poets, orators, educators, motivational speakers. Anyone that likes words, and artists of that level on all genres, man, are able to access Poems Boston, promote your stuff or whatever the case may be. If I got a gig, if I'm producing a gig, and you need help getting where you need to get, well, holla at us, and we'll do our best to get you there, or connect you with a Coach La or someone else that may be producing some stuff in the New England area or in the other areas for that. Where I see it going is, I hope one day that it becomes a major platform where I have like this larger media exposure, a larger audience, and I'm sitting in not only radio stations but blogs and so on and so forth, interviewing artists as you're doing with it, you know. But right now, I'm starting slowly. I'm gonna continue to build the following, continue to build the platform, and continue to do just good quality shows and good work.
Yeah. I love that you have taken it from not just being about you writing and you performing, but you're creating platforms and organizations, because I think that's really the start for us to be able to fund the projects we want to fund. Is we have to think bigger, right? And we have to think organization. How do we organize, and how do we attract our own funding and get creative?
Absolutely.
To be able to do the things that we want to do. So we're just like literally scratching the surface of what we're going to do. One of the things we both believe in is collaboration. And I think we need to do more of that to be able to get to where we're going, is to be able to iron sharpens iron. So I think Poem Boston is one of the dopest concepts thus far that I've seen. And I'm all for it. You know, I got you. I got your back 100%. And in any way that I can,
and vice versa, I got you.
To make that continue to flourish. I definitely see bigger platforms. I see us with budgets, you know, where we're getting the funding, and we got our own building, and it says Poems on the outside.
Speak that into existence. Just to speak that up.
Yeah, so that you know, you literally are able to publish. Help people with their spoken word albums. Like, you know, we just got a whole media platform that we can assist people. I think one of the things I love is new poets.
Yes.
One of the things I was told is one of the reasons why people like Poe Therapy is that it's like your poetic connoisseurs, people who wasn't, you know, I kind of like poetry. I'm a little bit into spoken word, but you know, I'm just here for the vibes. So you get a lot of newbies that have never performed before, which I think is great for people's confidence to take something that you wrote that was on paper and then share it with people, and they feel it and it resonates with them. I think it's an incredible feeling to be heard, validated. That I think that maybe I'm being a little biased, but I think only poetry does that.
Nah, you're not being biased at all. And Poe Therapy has done that. And I've told you a couple of times. I've told you several times, as a matter of fact. You know, I am so proud of what you're doing. You've taken poetry, and as most of us have, but you've taken poetry to a different level in Boston. And I told you this, and I've gave you your flowers on this, and I'm gonna give you your flowers on this radio platform. You were, in my opinion, the only poet in Boston, or only poet promoter in Boston, to take a spotlight like Slades and make them shut up. Like, Slades in the hood in Roxbury is notorious. Anybody listening out of town, if you want some good soul food, go to Slades. All right. You want some good, good drinks for the Lolo, go there. Good music, band, live, whole nine. All right. But they were not receptive or not nice to poets and spoken word, events. She came in there and created this platform and had this older crowd and these other folks or whatever, just kind of like, and she created a spot for poets, new poets, old poets, the whole nine. And I came in, I said, yo, you got them shutting up in here.
You was like,
how you do that?
And you're right, because I remember when I first approached you, you was like, I don't like Slades.
Right.
You and the many others, Slades is not the place for poetry. And I stood on business and stood my position that it's brick and mortar.
And you made it happen, though.
Right? It's brick and mortar. These spaces are brick and mortar. We create the vibe. The audience creates the vibe. We change the temperament of any space, and we create the energy. And we did that.
Right.
We changed it, like, poetry was definitely romping at Slades. I remember you being a person that celebrated this moment when you came inside and you said, La. I said, what? You said, there's a line around the corner. I said, what?
I said, and I recorded it.
And you recorded it. That footage was from you. You was like, yo, there is a line around the corner outside. And you were like, you did that. I was like, what? A line around the corner? And you went outside and you came back, and I said, oh shit.
Absolutely. There's no hate. There was no hate. And I was so proud of you at that moment, and I was proud of Roxbury, and I was also proud of Slades, but I know it was you who made this happen. So I was like, wait a minute, hold up. A line it was not only around the corner, it was around the corner down the block. just to get in your space. I was like,
but
wow, this is happening here.
But for poetry,
but for poetry,
for what it was for,
right?
Though, spoken word, poetry, a live band, people came outside to celebrate that,
and they supported.
and it was a line around the corner to see,
and it wasn't $10 either to get it. It wasn't just $10 to get in.
No,
it was like $40-$50 to get in. And folks supported, and it was beautiful. It was in the hood, beautiful. And you did that.
It was beautiful. We did that because it was a collective.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say, for all of the legendary poets here, I earned y'all's respect, because when you came out, I knew you came out because you saw what I was doing and you wanted to be a part of that platform because of what the work I had put in.
Right.
Like, I earned it. Like, I didn't beg y'all. I didn't pay y'all. Y'all was just like, yo, we love what you're doing. And you came out for me. We want to
support you.
And so I just want to thank the poetry community here in Boston, because that was dope. I knew I arrived.
And you know that in and of itself.
I knew I arrived when people like yourself, Amanda Shea, D Ruff, like, there was certain people that once I knew y'all wanted to rock with me, I was like, okay, all right. I was like, I didn't did it now. I was like, they came out because they just want to come out because of me, and what I'm doing. That amongst your peers is dope, and you guys have really pushed me to become a better poet and a better spoken word artist. Like, people like Chief, shout out to Chief's on Instagram. Chief came through. He was another person on my bucket list. He wrote, he has a spoken word album. You have a spoken word album. Like, I got some dope poets that do dope stuff that I consider my friends. But he has a song called Poetic Therapy that I happen to be searching for songs to put on my reels.
Right.
And I was putting poetry, and I found Chief not by accident from looking for that. And I was like, who's this Michael Chief? And I came in here to DJ Wade. I was like, DJ Wade, listen to this. I was like, there's a whole theme song. I said, I'm gonna reach out to him, but what if he tells me I can't use it?
Nah, he ain't like that. That's
and Chief is one of the sweetest, most humble, talented men that I've ever met. And he was like, sis, I'm not gonna hold you, but I love what you're doing. And he came down for the Father's Day edition that I did in honor of my father.
It was fire,
because he did a piece with him and his daughter that you guys can go Google, it just touched my heart. And he's such a phenomenal dad. I was like, that's my poet. That's my feature. And I've received nothing but love and validation. Poetry has been really my space too, as a therapist, to just be all of the pieces of myself.
Right.
Like, I can get up there, talk my I can be political, I can be raunchy, I can be ratchet, I can be loving, whatever it is, it's all embraced. It actually says, listen, this is the space. Poets gonna say what they're gonna say. You don't like it? Write a poem and come back and do a rebuttal. So I think poetry, next to going to therapy, is one of the two most non-judgmental spaces that I know exists. And that's why I put them together. And that's why you got Poe Therapy. If y'all never knew that, now y'all know.
Yeah, that's it.
So, thinking about what's next for you, you have a spoken word album that's out right now. You're currently booking, so you're ready to hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back? Well, come back though. Come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's booking because you got an album out. So talk to us about this spoken word album.
Well, so I went back to my original album. The original album, I say in one of my poems, was called Soul of a Warrior in 2003. So I said, you know what? Going back to the future, so to speak, I put out a project, and I put them out as individual singles, but under the same umbrella, as opposed to putting out as a whole album at once. So I put out 1, 2, 3. So it's like six singles under the umbrella of Soul of a Warrior. I wanted that nostalgic effect of having my first my first spoken word CD back in the day when they had those, when I used to burn my own. But now I have this whole platform, the media platform, whatever platform you listen to music on, you can get it. It's called Soul of a Warrior. And a couple of the tracks that are hitting hot right now are Snitches and Black Sheep. But there's Game and Jewels featuring none other than Brooklyn poet, artist, activist, educator, Breon Bain. So yeah, that's the music project I got out right now. Soul of a Warrior.
Yes. So I don't think there's anything that you don't do. You didn't talk a lot about your community activism because you know, a lot of people still got to have, you know, we got real jobs, y'all. Like we got jobs and we do poetry.
Indeed.
But you do a lot of work in the community as well. What you gonna talk about that?
Absolutely.
Work that you do in the community too?
Absolutely. I love the work that I do in the community. A lot of people don't see it because, you know, a lot of it is not to be seen. It's just to be done.
Yes.
You know, important. But not only do I work for I actually work for Goodwill. I'm a career navigator, getting folks careers. I teach a employment development class, resume building, interview skills and things of that nature for those people who need a brush up or who just have no clue whatsoever for whatever reason. No judgment whatsoever. They can come in and they can go through a class with me called First Step, and I can start them off from scratch. And then I have a network of employers, Corey friendly and some just regular, who are readily available to employ anybody. So if anybody wants and needs help getting a job in the city of Boston or surrounding whatever, I'm at 1010 Harrison Avenue at the Goodwill Career Center. Other than that, I have a nonprofit called A Right to Succeed, RITE, A Right. And it's a spin off the, you know, African tradition of Black men being, you know, giving a rite of passage to younger Black men. So it is a nonprofit dedicated to the mentorship of Black and brown young men, just boys, turning boys into men. Period.
Y'all better hit those hearts, hit those likes, those hearts, share this live. Y'all hear this?
I have it on my shirt if anybody's looking.
Yes,
A
do
Right
y'all
to
hear
Succeed.
this? So there's so many dope Black men in our community. And this goes to show that people can turn their lives around. This goes to show that given opportunities and resources, anyone can be different. Because sometimes we think that because someone has a past or have done something in the past and give up on people. And I love that not only are you doing poetry, but you set an example. And you are actually going back, as they call it, go back and and get lending a hand and showing people the way, not just by what you do in your own life, but also sitting down with people and teaching them, hey, you can change your life around. Let me connect you to some resources. So all across the board, you are so much bigger than just poetry.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I think that's amazing. I think a lot of times people don't get their flowers, but you do a lot of great work across the board in so many different arenas and areas. Now you got an event coming up on December 12th.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
It's called The Art of Poetry. The Art of Poetry. Myself and the Queen, Gwen Michelle, are co-hosting The Art of Poetry, and now it is a monthly. It is a monthly venue. It's a monthly venue. The first one was last month, and it went over well. We celebrated at that time. We celebrated Amiri Baraka and Gwendolyn Brooks. Each so the concept is we celebrate an ancient or elder spoken word artist or poet or orator in each one of these. This month we're celebrating Gil Scott Heron and Margaret Taylor Burroughs. We have a live band, Adriano Perez, who's going to be there. We have food. We have 4 other features who are actually going to be there. I think it's Juma the Light. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Juma the Light. Tori. You know what? Look at the flyer, y'all, please. It's on Eventbrite. To say Art of Poetry, December 12th at Attleboro. It's at the Emerald Square Mall on the 3rd floor, and it's in this great venue called the Museum, the National Black Doll Museum of History and Culture. And not for nothing, I think everybody should visit the National Black Doll Museum on a regular basis. All right, there are thousands of Black dolls, Black images of us right now there. They have a whole Christmas setting, everything blackface, everything is all us. You should go there. It's at Emerald Square Mall every day. Just go there. Enjoy it. They just had Santa. We just did the Santa slide. Man,
I saw that. I tagged it. I said, go ahead, Santa. Right. So we we're getting into the last stretch of the show.
Yes,
and one of the things that's dear to my heart, which was inspired by my dad, which was called Bet on Self, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people don't realize where it came from. And most of y'all listen every week, but he always told me, baby, bet on yourself, right? And so when he passed away, I started to use that to anchor myself to deal with my grief. And it became like a mantra. I started saying hashtag bet on self. Today you got to bet on yourself. Let's get it together, Lakeisha. Right. Today's another day for you to bet on yourself. So, if you bet on you can never lose. And it became a program, and now it's a part of the show because I want to inspire other people to bet on themselves. And that's like my father's legacy that I say it and I tell people all the time. So believe in yourself, empower yourself, and explore your strengths, and then transform your actions. How are you going to show up for yourself every day?
Right.
So thinking about that, what are some of your bet on self moments, maybe both publicly or privately, that you didn't discuss today? Because you've talked about a lot of things, but is there something that you feel you want people to know that they don't know, and on how you have been and how you continue to bet on yourself?
It's great, and I love your mantra, and I tease you about it, but like I tease you about it today, but it's a dope mantra in it, that because like for me, my moments of betting on myself is pretty much every day. I have a level of resilience that is second to none. No one knows, no pun intended, the troubles I've seen or the things that I have to go through on a daily basis just to be me, just put on this happy face. Like sometimes I don't want to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning just to get to the job at a certain time, but I know there's somebody out there that's going to walk through that door that's in need of my help. I got elder people who are trying to find their ways back into the workforce, who are trying to find their way back into the workforce, who haven't had to work, but because of the economy, have to find out to work, and they don't know how to navigate a computer. I have, this is the last time, this is the only time I'm going to use this word, but I'm going to change. I want to change this terminology. This is my effort of changing terminology. I don't want to call anybody immigrants anymore. I call them new arrivals. Or arrivals, the newly arrivals that are coming in from Haiti and other places who come in droves, literally in droves. I can't communicate with them, but the only thing we can say is you need a job. Yeah, anything. All right. And how their experience and education is not being translated, is not translated over here in America. I got new arrivals who have been political figures, who have master's degrees in their countries and so on and so forth, who are getting warehouse jobs at Amazon or Stop and Shop or whatever the case may be. And in their other life, they were just important figures. So, betting on myself is an everyday thing. Yeah. Everything I try, everything I do, like Poems Boston was a bet on self moment. I was off social media for a long time. I said, you know what? Let me build this platform. I had 2 people. Now I think I got like a little over 6,000 followers. Not much, but still.
That's a lot.
It's still.
We don't say nothing little over here.
But I want to double that. So anybody out there that hasn't, that isn't connected to me on social media, on Poems Boston, on all platforms, connect with me. Please. Instagram, Poems Boston, POEMS BOSTON, Poems Boston, and also connect with Poetic Circle Movement and Gwen Michelle, and the Art of Poetry is on. Art of Poetry is actually on Instagram as well too. So, and if you haven't got your tickets, get your tickets. Also, get your tickets for the Urban Escape.
I was just about to segue to that. Thank you for segueing me. Well, you guys know you're tuned into the Urban Heat 98.1 FM. This is Conversations with Coach Lau. We come on every Sunday at 10 p.m. Tonight, I'm talking to my poetic brother, Mr. Michael Warrior Bond. So we are doing a big, gigantic event, a 3-day event, 29th, 30th, 31st. We will be on the Cape. The Urban Escape on the Cape is our New Year's Eve retreat. What's so dope about this is that Boston's Black-owned radio station, the only one on iHeartRadio,
stop playing,
has booked an entire resort. It's for us by us. That is going to have over 12 different DJs, from DJ Dex Chubby Chub, Mr. Bajan, Junior Rodigan. We got Twins and Friends. If you've ever been to a Twins and Friends party here in Boston, just go follow them. They throw the most amazing parties. Actually, I just did one with Stokely and Omari Hardwick. They are hosting the All White Affair. We also are going to have 9 Alarms, which does one of Boston's dopest annual Halloween costume parties. That is hosting the Pajama Jam. Y'all remember back in the day, Kid and Play, Pajama Jam. Well, imagine that with silent headphones. You just don't want to miss this. We're doing a trap karaoke pool party that will also be a comedy show. This is not an event you wanna miss. And currently you can get your room for as low as $250 online.
Just $250?
Just $250. Now, give and take, there's some fees associated with that, but it's a very affordable.
But it's the Cape, though.
It's a very affordable trip. That's about 45 minutes outside of Boston. So it's not a far ride. There's plenty of parking down there. It's just gonna be super dope. On top of that, we're doing the final session of Poke Therapy for 2024 will be happening on the Cape. The backdrop of the ocean. It's gonna be dope. DJ Wade. We got a special performance by Ray Royale, who also has a Christmas album EP that's out right now. You guys gotta go check it out. He goes, there's a song on there. He wants to be a Santa Claus, which is super dope. And Warrior is the headliner. We got Tony Rose performing. We got Finding Aura performing. We got Mr. Orange. We got myself. So it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be crazy, a dope night of spoken word. And of course, we always have some open mic spots for those that want to be brave. You can get a day pass if you just want to come down for the day and then leave, So we really tried to make sure it was accessible and affordable. It's also family friendly. So there's going to be some kid zones and things for kids to do as well if you want to bring your family. So you guys want to come check that out. That's going down right now. You can get your tickets right now. From what I understand, I've been killing it with my suites. People is coming. So we're going to have a nice turnout.
It's going to be packed.
It's going to be packed. It's going to be really nice. A nice getaway, something different. I know a lot of people do New York for New Year's Eve, or they, do things in Boston down at first night. But when's the last time you were in a retreat resort?
That's gonna be crazy.
Where you can just chill. Oh, not to mention we're gonna have some outdoor like bonfire type stuff, and we're gonna have some movie nights. It's just gonna be a nice vibe.
You know what? I didn't even like that. Didn't register for me.
Yeah.
I didn't register that it was gonna be New Year's. Like,
yeah.
Oh wow.
Like crazy. We literally are bringing it in.
That's crazy.
We're bringing it in on the Cape. Just a nice way to relax. I'm also hosting a brunch. I'm calling it the Boss Up Brunch. I got Robbie DeBarros, who is the co-founder of Revolu, as my keynote speaker. I got Ayana Freedom, who's going to be doing some body work. So, we got it all covered, from the parties to the self-care, to the pool, to the karaoke. We got it is 24/7. You're going to have a good time for 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So y'all need to come on down and stop playing.
Okay.
Use referral code Coach La La La.
Yo, y'all should come, man. For real. And she does a dope show, man. Her hosting skills is like.
Oh well, thank you, Mr. Crazy. Warrior.
I like the energy, for real, man. Yeah.
I have a good time hosting. I really do. I'm trying to get my co-host, Mr. James Lambert III, to come down and co-host with me. Still working on him. Let's see if he'll come. But it's gonna be a good time.
Okay.
People are gonna, if you don't come to this and you see the footage, you're gonna be like, dag, I should have went.
I missed it.
Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Be there. So we got a few minutes left. Tell me, what is some closing words? What do you want to leave the people with?
Just be yourself. Just be yourself. Look, I am a simple person. I am very, very low maintenance. It doesn't require much to make me happy, make me smile, and that's just simple. That's my simple advice to people is just be yourself. Don't try to fake it. Don't try to fake it. Work with what you got. And step outside your comfort zone sometimes. Sometimes, man, we
hold on.
Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat, 981fm.com and iHeart Station.
I always forget there's like a little delay in my. Here you go. Wait.
Resort. Escape on the Cape. Escape on the Cape. New Year's Eve. Escape on the Cape. 3 days of multiple events. 1, an all-white party. Hosted by Twins and Friends. Music by DJ Pleasure and Dex. 2, a silent party. The Pajama Jammy Jam. Part 2 with Night Alarm. Escape on the Cape. This New Year's Eve. Plus a live performance from Mr. Cheeks. Mr. Cheeks. Escape on the Cape, December 29th, 30th, and New Year's Eve. Wait, there's more. Don't miss the Urban Heat's New Year's Eve Sneaker Ball. There'll be plenty of activities. Pool parties, spades, family feud. Escape on the Cape. Music by some of your favorite DJs, Chubby Chub, Mo D, Troy Anthony, Junior Rodigan, Mr. Bayesian, DJ Wade, and more. A 3-day New Year's Eve resort. Book your suites now. Book your suite now at heat981fm.com.
So how could you even want to miss that?
That's gonna be
forgot
crazy.
to tell y'all Mr. Cheeks was coming. I forgot all about that. So Warrior, thank you so much for coming and chilling with me on the virtual couch. I'll see you soon on the December 12th, and then I'll definitely be talking to you before we go to the Cape. But it's always a pleasure. You know, I love everything you do. You know, you got a fan in me and a friend in me.
Same here.
Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Shout out to Supernova Nia, Mina Shea Style Journey, Miss Vella Ray. I see you out there, girl. Make sure y'all tune in next week, Sunday, 10 p.m. I got Alexis Wolf on next week. It's nothing but poets. I'm riding poets out all the way to the end of the year. Have a good night and keep betting on self. Talk to you later.
Always bet on
Bye.
self. Peace.
I am Ray Royale. Now pop your calling.